Well, good Friday morning. Hopefully, your Friday is going well. We are at the final game of the June 15th date. Game number 4. It was supposed to be 428 game number, but I did do that game that I tried to use on OBS, and the sound and stuff just didn't work out for me the way I wanted it to, so I might take it down. I'm not sure. Did the Texas California game yesterday. Attempted a live stream through OBS. First time I tried a live stream on that, and it just didn't go the way I wanted it to go. But anyway, that was game 48. This is game 429, and it's the final game on June the 15th. We're at the Kingdom in Seattle, which is very homer friendly at 1-17. Not so much for the singles, 1-5. And we got a pitching match of two left-handed starters. For the White Sox, we have Floyd Bannister, and for the Mariners, we have Lee Guetterman. A couple of lefties going at it, and they're polar opposites as far as the season goes. Mr. Bannister is 7-1 on the replay, and Mr. Guetterman, unfortunately for him, is 0-3. So, never know, though, the dice. That's why you roll the dice, because you're never quite sure what's going to show up and how the dice are going to act. Chicago comes into this game 29-30, trying to catch the Oakland A's as best they can, but Oakland's kind of starting to pull away, actually. And Seattle fighting Texas for last place at 26-36. Lee Guetterman will finish up his warm-up tosses. He has a +2 hold rating. Combine that with Dave Valley's -3 arm, and he has a -1 hold rating. His wild pitch is a 5. His balk is a 0. Dave Valley's pass ball is a 2. For Bannister, he has a wild pitch of 4, balk of 2, and he's got a -2 hold rating, does Mr. Bannister. And Fisk is a 0, so he maintains that -2 hold rating. Hey, Colin, happy birthday to you. June 15th when it comes around, I guess. There you go. In 6/15/87, I was 22. All right, so I'll be 61 next month. So, and Dan, good morning to you. We're back to analog. I mean, I tried that little, and I still make up. I kind of like that setup, but I got to tweak it and figure out how to make it work. Especially if I try to do it live, because the sound, I get into technical difficulties that way. But I do enjoy that because I can do the game, cards and I can do it with the cards and dice, but I don't have to have the score sheet in front of me. I've got all the stuff on the screen for people to see, so I don't have to sit there and explain what people are hitting on the replay and all that stuff, because it kind of, you can see it on the screen. So there's good and bad to both, I guess. But morning time is always going to be analog, so there is no worry about that. That will always be analog. All right. Let me see. Now, make sure I've got this lined up properly. I think it's a little bit. Let me move this over just a tad. I think it's kind of, I need to where it's straightened out here. I got different setups for different things that I do, so got to make sure this is back. I think this is pretty good where it's at right now. I think we can live with that. All right. Let's get the Strat computer fired up. And Dan, this weekend I will be doing, I will be recording some games, and one of them will be another fall classic. So I'm hoping I can get the rules down pat. Got a couple of explanations from Replay Gamer to clear up some things I was unsure about. So hopefully next time I play that game, I won't have any hiccups. That's what I'm hoping anyway. And we'll be doing another Steve Carlton replay game over the weekend as well. That probably will be recorded also. All right, so Lee Guetterman, look at his numbers real world. He was 11-4, actually, pretty good. 11-4 with a 3.81 ERA in the real season, splitting time between starting and relieving. But in the replay, he's 0-3 with a 6.17 ERA. So he has not lived up to expectations to this point. Dick Williams is not a happy man. And the White Sox will send Gary Redus to the plate for the first at bat of the ball game. Gary Redus on the replay hitting .239, 4 homers, 13 driven in. He hit .236 real world. And that's one thing I do like about the OPS is I don't have to sit there and say all that because people can see it on the screen, but obviously can't see it here. But maybe one of these days I'll figure it all out and get it to work where it's seamless. I don't know. But until then, we'll go with what we got. And of course, before we throw the first pitch, roll the first dice, we have the ceremonial first sip. I believe in traditions, and that's one of them that I started a while back, and I plan on keeping for the morning only. I'm not going to, drink coffee at 8 o'clock at night. I'll be up all night if I did that. All right, here's Gary Reedus. 310, and that is a solid double to center field to start things off. So Lee Guetterman again. He's not living up to expectations. Leadoff double for Reedus. That'll bring up Jerry Royster. Royster, third base in this game. He's hitting 286, 3 homers, 9 driven in. He at 265 real world. First havoc roll. Nothing happening. 210. And that's a ballpark single check, which is a 1 to 5. That's a 16. Line out to first base. One away. One down, and here is Harold Baines. Harold Baines. Dan, if I remember correctly, you're a pretty big fan of Fall Classic. I don't know if you saw the whole talk I had with Replay Gamer, but I know I mentioned, just like I did with Strat, that I thought the shipping was a little high, and that's why if I'm going to order from them, I'm going to order multiple sets probably. I don't know if you feel that way or whether you order multiple sets when you order or, exactly what your thought process is, or do you think the card sets themselves are low enough price that the higher shipping kind of balances it out and it still works out in the end? I mean, I did a comparison, and the difference between Strat-O-Matic and Fall Classic, you still get it cheaper with Fall Classic, obviously, because Strat-O-Matic's shipping is even worse. And you get every player with Fall Classic. You don't get that with Strat-O-Matic. So, all right, here is Harold Baines. He's hitting 273, a homer, 18 driven in. He at 293 real world. Lefty-lefty matchup. 2-6, and that is a 1 to 7 double. That's a 17. It'll be a single 2 stars, and that's good enough to score Reedus from second base. And we have a 1-0 White Sox lead right out of the chute. I realize this is not a stellar matchup, but it's on the schedule. So what are you going to do? All right, here is Carlton Fisk hitting 268, 6 homers, 21 driven in. He at 256 real world. Baines, no threat to run, will not be held. Here's Fisk, 112 against the lefty. It's a fly to left field. That is 2 away. Okay. I don't know if you saw Kurt Berglund's little thing about trying to talk us into revisiting the modern season. So I don't know if you ordered the 2025 from Fall Classic or not, but I know there's a lot of cards, like 1,400 cards in there. So that's a lot. I'm just not enamored with the modern game myself, but I guess that could change at some point. Here's Calderon. And Calderon's hitting 284 on the replay, 7 homers, 21 driven in. He at 293 in the real season. 293. 3-6, and that's going to be a base on balls, so Guetterman still can't get out of the inning yet. Now it's a clutch situation for Greg Walker, lefty on lefty. And in the clutch, he gains a hit on 112 and 1-5. So a couple extra hits there. Oh, you did get Strat's 2025. Okay. One thing I did like about Fall Classic, I'll use 2025 as an example. You could get that set by Christmas, whereas Strat took until, the second week in March to get it. Or first week in March, I guess it would be to get it. So late February, early March. So that's a big difference. You have 2 extra months to use it. Oh, 2015. Oh, okay. 2015. Okay, gotcha. All right, let's see. Greg Walker. Walker hitting 211 on the replay is really struggling. 4 homers, 22 driven in. He at 256 real world. But he does, again, get those 2 extra hits into column 1 if he can find them. 1-6, and he almost got that clutch hit, but 1-6 is a strikeout. And Guetterman gets out of it, only allowing the 1 run. Could have been a lot worse, obviously. But the strikeout minimizes the damage. We go to the bottom of the first. It is Chicago 1 and Seattle coming to bat. And we got Floyd Bannister. Bannister was 16-11, 3.58 ERA on the season, real season. In the replay, 7-1 with a 2.46 ERA, 95 innings pitched, 76 hits, 17 walks, 47 strikeouts. So he's had a stellar replay. Not quite Jimmy Key, but he's up there. If it did an all-star team, he'd be on it. That's for sure, as a starting pitcher. Here's John Moses. He will lead off, the center fielder for Seattle, hitting 257, 3 homers, 30 driven in. He hit 246 in the actual season. Switch hitter, batting right-handed, 4.8. And that is a strikeout for Bannister. Good start for Floyd as he puts the K on the leadoff man, John Moses. I'll bring up Phil Bradley, left fielder. Bradley underperforming as well, hitting only 222 on the replay. And this is in 234 at bats, so the sample size is up there. 3 homers, 8 driven in. He hit 297 real world. 6-6, and that's going to be a 1-2 triple. 13, though, will be a single. So Phil Bradley, a 1-out single, and he may be looking to run. Even though it's a -2 hold, that would still give him a 1-15. So he's going to try for the lead. Needs a 2 through 5. And he gets the 5. So he's going to go 19 being held as a 17, -2 is a 15. 1-15, he is in there. And he got caught stealing. Wow. That's the kind of season it's been for Seattle. They can't catch a break. You get the good odds. I think it was a 75% chance that he could steal that, but then you roll a 19. So it's just the way, that's just the kind of season it's been for Seattle. Here's Mickey Brantley. Brantley, the designated hitter in this game, hitting 280 on the replay. 5 homers, 8 driven in. That's just in 58. I'm sorry, just in 50 at bats. He hit 302 real world. 6-4, and that's a catcher X. That's Fisk. He's a 3-E-4. 3-15. We'll check the catcher. Nobody's on base, so there can't be any pass balls or anything like that. 3-15 for a catcher. Turns out to be a foul out. Right there, a foul out. And that is an 11. And he's an E4. And there is no 11 there. So it's just a foul out to Fisk. And that will end the inning. So the caught stealing kind of took the starch out of that inning. We played 1 from the Kingdom, and it's Chicago 1, Seattle nothing. Floyd Bannister finishes his inning when we step it over to Lee Guetterman. Guetterman off to a rough start. He gave up a leadoff double to Gary Reedus to start the game, which caused the only run. Trying to settle in here against Ken Williams, center fielder. Williams is hitting only 189, a homer and 7 driven in. He hit 281 real world. 3-11, and that's a ballpark blast. So something that can help a slumping hitter is facing Lee Guetterman and playing at the Kingdom. 3-11 is a ballpark blast. It's a 1-17. That's a 14. It's gone. Ken Williams, home run number 2 on the replay. And RBI number 8. He had 11 home runs real world. He took that deep out of the ballpark. Kingdom is very homer friendly. Talk about the Homer Dome in Minnesota, but the Kingdom, at least in 1987, was more friendly. So the Sox take a 2-0 lead, and here is Fred Manrique. He's hitting 241, a homer, 11 driven in. He at 258 real world. That's a 210 against the lefty, and it's a ground ball to short, where Ramos will make the play. That'll bring up Ozzie Guillen, number 9 hitter. Guillen hitting 264, homer 24 driven in. He hit 279 real world. 4-4, and that's a fly ball center field X. We're looking at Moses, 2-E-5. So you would think he would get to that. 2-15 he does. And the E5 and 8. E5 and an 8, not a problem. 16, 17, 18, and 4 are the only errors. So Moses tracks it down. 2 away. Back to the top of the order for Gary Reedus. Reedus doubled and scored his first trip. the white die got hung up. Don't know why that happened. Get out of there. Let's re-roll this. 1-7, and that's a strikeout. So Guetterman gives up the home run, but gets out of everything else. But it's 2-0 favor of the White Sox as we go to the bottom of the second. And leading off for the Seattle Mariners will be the hound dog, Jim Presley. Presley on the replay is hitting .217, 13 homers, 42 driven in. He hit .247 in the actual season. 3-4, and that's a ground ball to second. Manrique easily has it. One away for first baseman Alvin Davis. Davis is one of the few Mariners that is hitting up to his capability. He is hitting .295 on the replay, 13 homers, 38 driven in. And oh, by the way, he hit .295 real world, so he's right on target. 4-8, and that's a strikeout for Bannister. He was on target with that one. Second strikeout for Bannister. 2 up, 2 down for Dave Valley, the catcher. Valley on the replay hitting .222 in 99 at-bats, so he's getting his 100th at-bat right now. He had 324 at-bats real world. 2 homers, 12 driven in. He had .256 in the real season. 6-8, and his 100th at-bat turns into a pop-out to second base. So he will lower his average from .222 to .220 as he has 22 hits in 100 at-bats now. And that's another 1-2-3 inning for Lloyd Bannister. Go to the top of the third, 2-0. It'll be Royster, Baines, and Fisk due up for the Sox. Royster lined it right to Alvin Davis's first chance. 4-5, and that's a pop-up to third. Presley will haul it in. 1 down, and that sends up Harold Baines. He had the RBI single his first time up. 2-3, and that's a ground ball to first. Alvin Davis will take it to the bag himself. Two down for Carlton Fisk. 4-8, and that's a base on balls. So second walk issue by Guetterman. Fisk, of course, not going to be held at first base. And here comes Ivan Calderon. He was the other walk that Guetterman issued back in the first. 2-3, and that's a fly to right field, hauled in out there by Christensen, and that will do it. So Guetterman finally pitches a scoreless frame. Go to the bottom of the third, 2-0 still is the score, with the White Sox holding that advantage. Due up for the Mariners, bottom third of the order, it'll be John Christensen, Ramos, and Harold Reynolds. Bannister looking to go 8-1 on the replay. It's off to a good start so far. 3-7, struck him out. Third strikeout for Bannister. Almost think of Bannister as being Jimmy Key light. Very similar in their replays, the way their replays are going, but of course, Jimmy Key is off the charts. Here's Ramos. Ramos is hitting .351 on the replay and 57 at bats. A homer, 8 driven in. He had .311 real world. 6-9, and that's a line out right to the first baseman Walker. Quickly 2 away. Takes us to the number 9 hitter, Harold Reynolds. Reynolds is hitting .289 on the replay. No homers, 14 driven in. He had .275 real world. 6-10, switch hitter batting right-handed. Ground ball third base X, we're looking at Jerry Royster. He is a 4E20. That 4-5 is going to get by him. Not going to be able to get to that one. No way. 4-5 is a definite hit. That is a 13, and he is an E20 at third base. There's an 11, 14, and 15, no 13, so at least he didn't boot it. But it will be a 2-out single for Harold Reynolds. First hit by the Mariners. Second hit by the Mariners. They had Bradley get caught stealing, unfortunately for him, but Reynolds says, give me a chance to steal. I learned how to get a good lead on baseball tonight, so I'm going to test my skills. 2 through 6 or a 9. He does not get the lead, so he didn't learn good enough. Here's Moses. Struck out his first chance. 2-8, and that's a single 1-8. Anything else he lines to short, that's a 5, so it'll be a base hit, but only 1 star. So 2-1, 2 outs, first clutch situation for the Mariners. It belongs to Phil Bradley. In the clutch, Bradley, not so good, loses hits on 2-6, 2-7, and 2-10. So definitely anti-clutch. Get a 1-6, but this is a ballpark blast. That changes everything. 1-17, but that's the way the Mariners season is going right there. In a nutshell, you just saw it. Home run 1-17. The double die just happens to be a 20 this time. So talk about a team not being able to catch a break. That would have been a 3-run homer. Probably should have been a 3-run homer, but when the double die comes up as a 20, you just know it's not meant to be. So frustration definitely setting in there for Phil Bradley as it's a warning track fly ball instead of a 3-run homer. And Bannister escapes. Gets away with a bad pitch. To go to the fourth, it's still 2-0 in favor of the Sox. Guetterman back out. His fatigue is a 6. Bannister's is a 7. Greg Walker will lead off for the Sox. Walker struck out his first chance. Get a 1-12, and that's a fly to center field. Moses will take care of it. One away for Ken Williams. Grounded to short. I'm sorry, he homered his last time up. 5-4. He might homer again. 1-12 is a home run. That's a 17, though, so he'll settle with a double. Double for Ken Williams. That brings up Enrique. He grounded to short his first time up. 4-7, and that is a 1-2 single. Anything else he lines to short, that's a 3. So snow cone job there by Ramos at shortstop to keep that from going through and possibly saving a run. So here's Ozzie Guillen, because Williams does run well at second. So any base hit that's not 1 star, he'll almost certainly score. Guillen in a clutch situation against the lefty will lose a hit on 2-8. And that's it. Everywhere else he's neutral. 6-10, lefty, ground ball, third base X. That's Presley, 2E24 for Presley. Oh, and double die strikes again. 2 and a 2. I'll tell you what, Seattle just can't get breaks this year. That's all there is to it. It's a single. It's only 1 star, so it won't score the run, but this is a 15, so there could be an error added to this. Presley's a 24. And that's a 15. And there's a 15 right there for a 2-base error. Not just a 1-base error, but a 2-base error. So it's a single plus a 2-base error. Guillen will reach, and he'll go all the way to third on the error by Presley. And, of course, scoring is Williams. No RBI will be given because he would not have scored without the error. So things going from bad to worse for the Mariners. That's why they're near the bottom of the standings. So the Hound Dog messed that one up. Sent Lee Guetterman to Heartbreak Hotel on that one. And here is Gary Reedus. Runner at third, 2 down, still in the clutch situation. Reedus will lose a hit on 1-10. But they lead at 3-0 at the moment. 1-8 is a base on ball, so they'll still keep going. That's the third walk issued by Guetterman. And that brings up Jerry Royster. Reedus could obviously steal. Guetterman's a -1, which isn't that big of a deal. It would be a 1-16 if he got the lead, 80% chance, so we might as well send him 2 outs, playing with house money. 2 through 6. Doesn't get the jump, so it's irrelevant. Here's Jerry Royster. 0 for 2. Oh, that red die didn't go through. Let's try that again. 5-8, and that is a fly ball to left field. That will end the inning. Run comes in, but it's unearned. They still count all the same. 3-0 White Sox as we go to the bottom of the 4th. It'll be Brantley, Presley, and Davis due up for the Mariners here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Seems like they are snake bit every time they try to do something. The D20 just breaks their heart. 3-4 is a pop up to first base. That's going to be Greg Walker. He'll make the play. One down. That'll send up Jim Presley. 4-12. Ground ball right back to Bannister for out number 2. 2 down very quickly for Alvin Davis. He was a strikeout victim his first time up. 1-10, and he's going to ground it. I think he had double, single, and a home run, but he found the one in between. Like I said, they've been snake bit. Ground ball right back to Bannister once again. 1-2-3 inning. And the poor Mariners can't catch a break. We go to the 5th. It's 3-0 White Sox. Guetterman hasn't pitched great, but he's deserved a little bit better fate. His defense has certainly let him down. And the D20 has let him down a couple times. Here's Harold Baines. Baines. 1 for 2. 3-5 against the lefty. That's a fly to center. Moses will take care of that. And that brings up Pudge Fisk. 3-10, and that is a 1-19 single. So 1 out single for Pudge Fisk. Of course, he is no threat to run, so they will not hold him. Brings up Ivan Calderon. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. 6-9, and that's a line out right to second baseman Harold Reynolds. 2 down. There was a dot there, but he hasn't reached fatigue yet. He's only in the 5th inning. His fatigue starts in the 6th. Here's Walker. He's 0 for 2. 3-4. Make him 0 for 3 as he grounds it to Reynolds at second to end the inning. So probably the easiest inning that Guetterman's going to have. He had an easy 3rd and easy 5th, but everything else has been a challenge. Bannister has had an easy inning all game long. And it's going to be Valley, Christensen, and Ramos due up for the Mariners here in the bottom of the 5th. (5-7), and that is a ground ball shortstop X. Kean, a 2E21. 2-15, he'll get to that all day long. E21 at short. E21 at shortstop. The only errors are 6, 15, and 17. That's not that, so he will make the play. And there's one away. 1 down for John Christensen. Struck out his first chance. 4-7, and this time he grounds it to Manrique. 3E13. 3-3. That might get through. We'll see. It's going to be close. 3-3 will be a base hit. That is a 7 for Mr. Manrique, who's an E13 at second base. There is no 7, so it's just going to be a base hit for Christensen. No threat to run. That brings up Domingo Ramos. 6-4, and that's a catcher X. We're going to Fisk. He's a 3E4. 3-8. Might be some sort of a pass ball situation. 3-8 for catcher. 3-8 is a possible pass ball. That's a 16, and he is an E4. E4, there's a 16 right here, so it's an E1. P/P and an E1. Let's take a look and see what that brings about. P/P with an E1, the batter hits a squib out in front of the plate that the catcher can't handle. So it's not going to be a pass ball to worry about. It's going to be an error. That's going to override the possible pass ball. It'll just be an E2, and that'll put runners at first and second with 1 out. So Fisk on a little dribbler, unable to get the handle, and he'll be charged with a 1-base error. That'll bring up Harold Reynolds, first and second, 1 out. Reynolds singled his first trip. Looking to get the Mariners on the board. 1-7, and he will hit a ground ball to short. It will not be a double play. It's ground ball shortstop B. So it'll be a 6-4 fielder's choice. And that will put runners at the corners with 2 outs. Clutch situation for John Moses. Down 3-0. The way the D20 has been rolling for them, they're not going to take any chances sending Reynolds. They would normally send him, but the way the D20 has been rolling, and they're down 3-0. If he gets thrown out there, it's really bad. So they'll hold him there and hope that John Moses does something. In the clutch, he loses a hit on a 1-2 and on a 2-10. Get a 5-5, though. Switch hitter being right-handed. That's an in-home run chance, 1-6. That's a 9. That'll be a double. Double for John Moses. And this could score 2 runs. No Christensen scores from third automatically, but Harold Reynolds, 17 being held as a 16, 2 outs is an 18. The double is assumed to go to center field, and that center fielder arm, Williams, is a 0. So again, Reynolds 17 being held as a 16, 2 outs is an 18. But if you throw through, Moses takes third base. So Reynolds will score. They don't want Moses getting to third base. So 2-run double off the bat of John Moses. And all of a sudden, it's a 3-2 ball game. Moses coming through in the clutch for the Mariners. Here's Phil Bradley, runner at second, 2 down for Bradley. Clutch situation for him also. But he doesn't do, remember, he loses those 3 hits in column 2. And he found column 2. 2-10, that would have been a base hit, but it's anti-clutch. So he's going to pop it up to short, and that's going to do it. So the anti-clutch got him on that one. But the Mariners do put 2 runs on the board thanks to John Moses, and at the end of 5 innings, we at least have a competitive game. It's 3-2. Guetterman back out. This is his fatigue inning. So the Seattle bullpen, and we'll show who they have in the bullpen available to them. They have some right-handers. They have Mike Trujillo, Steve Shields, Jerry Reed, and Ed Nunez, and one lefty, Bill Wilkinson. That's their bullpen. So let's see who they've got that's the most rested, so we don't overwork somebody. Actually, Jerry Reed's pretty well rested. Reed and Shields are both rested, so we got our choice there. Both of them have fatigues of 3 as well. So it looks like Jerry Reed is loosening in the bullpen for Seattle in case Guetterman runs into trouble. Top of the 6th, 3-2 ball game. Ken Williams is up. He's 2 for 2, a homer and a double. And again, one of the dice gets stuck in the tray. I don't know why it keeps doing that. 4-4 against a right-hander. 5-ball center field X. We're looking at Moses again, 2E5. 2 and a 17, he'll get to that. So you can see what the E5 is. That is a total of 8 on an E5 center fielder. There is no 8 there, just 4, 16, 17, and 18. So Moses will corral that one. Leadoff man is removed. And here is Fred Manrique. He's 0 for 2. 3-3, and that's a ground ball to short. Domingo Ramos all over it, 2 down. So Guetterman hanging in there. And here's Ozzie Guillen. 1-6, and that's a fly to right field. So Guetterman will keep full endurance into the 7th. And now Jerry Reed has sat down. They got him up there just in case, but they didn't need him. We go to the bottom of the 6th, still 3-2. Due up for the Mariners, heart of the order, Brantley, Presley, and Davis. 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Got a chink in the Bannister armor last inning, so they're going to see if they can take advantage. 2-10, split chance. 1-3 is a single. That's a 6, so he lines it to short. Guillen snags it 1 away. Again, hope you all are having a great Friday, whatever you are, and hope you have nice plans for the weekend. Remember, the time changes. Daylight savings time begins on Saturday night, late into Sunday morning. Lose an hour of sleep, but get extra daylight. So I always enjoy that time of year. I like getting the extra daylight. Here's Jim Presley. 1-7, and that's a strikeout. For Bannister, that is strikeout number 4. That's his first strikeout since the 3rd inning. 2 down, and that'll bring up Alvin Davis. 4-5, and that's a pop out to first. Bannister is there. It's a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 7th. Still a 3-2 ball game. I was expecting more runs than this, but because of the Kingdom, but pitching has held its own. Again, Guetterman back out. Steve Shields is now loosening the Seattle bullpen, just in case. They had Reed earlier, but now they've gone to Shields. Here's Reedus. He's 1 for 2, a double, a walk, and a run scored. 3-9, and that's another double for Gary Reedus. Second double of the game. And that'll bring up Jerry Royster. He is 0 for 3. 6-9, and that's a line out to second base. There's a dot there, but he has not reached fatigue, so that's going to stand as Harold Reynolds snags it. 1 away. That'll send up Harold Baines. 5-5, and that is a split chance. 1-6 is a single. That's a 19. He's going to line it to Harold Reynolds again. Reynolds back, snagging back-to-back line drives. 2 down for Carlton Fisk, and they're going to go to the bullpen with the righty Carlton Fisk. They're going to bring on a right-hander, Steve Shields. Guetterman will go 6 2/3 innings. He will give up 7 hits. So far, 3 runs, which were earned, but he's also responsible for that runner. He ends up walking 3, and he only struck out 2. Struck out Walker and Reedus. That's it. So coming on will be Steve Shields. Steve Shields. And as me and Replay Gamer talked about in our little chat about Strat-O-Matic, it'd be nice if Strat could find a way to print the stats on the advanced side of the cards instead of having to flip them over all the time. There is room in this. Each of these cards have these white borders. If you look at the cards here, there's plenty of room to do that. But of course, that would require innovation, and Strat and innovation just don't go together. Sad to say. It's just true. If you're a WWE wrestling fan back in the day with Kurt Angle, I could say it's true, it's damn true. So, all right. Hello, Dr. D. So we're going to go to the computer and bring in Mr. Shields, get his numbers on the replay. Shields on the real season, obviously, 2-0 with a 6.60 ERA and 3 saves. On the replay, he's 0-0 with a 3.18 ERA and 1 save. 11 innings pitched, 13 hits, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Clutch situation for Carlton Fisk against a right-hander in the clutch. Fisk gains a hit on 112, and that is it. Shields trying to keep this a 3-2 ball game. 1-7, and that's a strikeout. He certainly did it. So we can close the book now on Guetterman. He's going to give up the 3 runs, but he's still on the hook for the loss unless his team can come and at least tie the score. 7th inning stretch time here in Seattle. And this will be the fatigue inning for Floyd Bannister, so we'll keep an eye on him. And he'll be facing Valley, Christensen, and Ramos. Where I got Ramos from? Ramos. That's a 3-6, and that is a solid double for Dave Valley. Dave Valley, a leadoff double. And that'll send up John Christensen. He singled his last time up and scored. 5-6, and that's a ballpark blast. He's got normal power. 1-17. That's a 14. It's gone. John Christensen has just put Seattle in the lead, 4-3. It looked like they were dead and buried. But the last couple of innings, they've shown some life. And again, 5-6 is a ballpark blast. The Kingdom effect, 1-17. This time it was not a 20, it was a 14. He, of course, has normal power. So for Christensen, that's his third home run of the replay. He only had 2 in the real season. So he's already exceeded that with his third. This is at bat number 82 for him. He had 132 real world. And the Seattle Mariners now lead it by the score 4-3. It gets Guetterman off the hook, and now actually Shields is the pitcher of record to try to get a win. And Bannister's on the hook. So the White Sox bullpen starting to stir. We'll look and see who they've got in their bullpen. They've got right-hander Scott Nielsen. They have right-hander Jim Wynn and right-hander and closer Bob James. They also have 2 lefties, Brian Clark and Ray Searage. So those are the guys in their bullpen. Looking at a righty possibly. So we're looking at Jim Wynn coming out of the bullpen for the Sox potentially. They're going to see how long they want to go with Bannister. He's going to face Domingo Ramos. 5-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Ozzie Guillen. He's a 2E21. 2-9. He'll get to that. 2-9. And let's see here. E21 it's short, and that is an 11. So E21, and there's 6-15 and 17, no 11. So Guillen will make the play. 1 down for Harold Reynolds. That's a 2-9, and that's a single for Harold Reynolds. And Reynolds will be looking to run and get that lead if he can. Bannister just hit his fatigue, so we'll see if they want to have him pitch to Moses or whether they want to go straight to Jim Wynn. One thing is that Bannister is a -2 hold and Jim Wynn's a +1, so that might they might keep him in there just to try to get Harold Reynolds, keep him close. 2 through 6 or a 9. He gets the lead. He's an 18, being held as a 16. -2 is a 14. So 1-14 for Harold Reynolds to steal it. And he's in there. Stolen base, Harold Reynolds. Let's see how many stolen bases he's had on the real season versus the replay as he swipes second base there. In the real season, Reynolds stole 60 bases, got caught 20 times. This is stolen base number 20. He's been caught 3 times. So his 20th stolen base for Harold Reynolds. And he makes it to second base. And now let's see what to do here. Moses hit that big double off of Bannister last time. Bannister is fatigued. And he got righties coming up after him. So that's going to be it. They're going to cap Floyd Bannister right there. He's going to go 6 1/3 innings. And they'll bring in Jimmy Wynn to follow. So 6 1/3 innings, and he's going to give up 8 hits. So far, 4 runs, but one of those is unearned. And let's see here. He's still responsible for Reynolds as well. Looks like he walked no one. I don't see any walks on his scorecard. And 4 strikeouts. So Jimmy Wynn coming on. See what Jimmy Wynn can do to get him out of this jam. On the replay, Jim Wynn is 2-4, no saves, and a 6.93 ERA. Real world, he was 4-6 with 6 saves and a 4.79 ERA. 38 innings pitched, 39 hits, 31 walks. That's where he's gotten into trouble. He's walked 31 batters in 38 innings. That's where he's run into his bugaboo. Those darn base on balls. And now we got a spam call coming in, so let's get rid of that. All right. Good thing I'm not recording on the phone, or that would have been an interruption of the stream. All right. So Moses is up with 2 outs. I'm sorry, 1 out in a running scoring position, so it is not a clutch situation. Wynn facing Moses, who will turn around bat left-handed. He's already 2 for 3, a single and a double. 3-10, and that's going to be a base on balls. So the walk to Moses. And unfortunately, hindsight always being 20/20, and you never know if that roll would have been the same had we left Bannister in there because there was a lot of things that went on between that roll. But a 310 would have been a ground ball double play. But you just don't know that when you roll the dice. So you play it the way you think you need to play it. Sometimes the dice have other ideas. Bases loaded now. I'm sorry, not bases loaded. First and second now with one out for Phil Bradley. But a double play will still get Jimmy Wynn out of the inning if he can induce it. 3-5, and that's a single to right field, but it's an anti-clutch, but there are not two outs. There's only one out. Had there been two outs, that would have been a out right there, but that's a single to right field. Right fielder Calderon is a -1. Reynolds is 17. Being held is a 16. And -1's a 15. 1 to 15. Actually, they were not holding him. You wouldn't hold him at second. So 17, not being held is an 18. -1's a 17. But if you throw through, both runners take the extra base. So I just don't like those odds. Harold Reynolds will score. They'll keep runners at first and second. Well, we'll check Moses. He might make it to third because it is a single to right field on the 3-5. It is a single to right field. It is specified right field. So Moses, as a trail runner, was not being held. It makes him an 18. Going from first to third, you add 2, gives him a 20. And then the -1's a 19. So he's going to take third automatically. So it ends up being a single 2 stars. To break it down simplistically, that run is charged to Bannister. And now he can close the book on Bannister. He's going to give up 5 runs, 4 of them earned, I believe, is the total. Oh, I just did send him, Dr. D. I just did send him. He went to third. And the throw was cut because they had no chance to get him. They wanted to keep Bradley at first base. All right, so let's go to the box score and get the final totals on Bannister, who's in danger of dropping to 7-2. 6 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs. Only 3 of them are earned, according to the computer. No walks, 4 strikeouts. Okay. So now Jimmy Wynn will face Mickey Brantley. Runners at the corners. Bradley has a chance to get a lead. Needs a 2-5. Doesn't get it. He'll hold. Mickey Brantley, the batter. They're playing back for the double play. Actually, no, they're not. They can't afford to give many runs. They're playing in. They just can't afford it. They just can't afford to give another run. They are playing in. 6-8 for Jimmy Wynn, and that's a walk. Doesn't matter where they were playing. Now the bases are loaded with 1 out. Jimmy Wynn has not done well. He's given up 2 walks and a single since coming into the game. White Sox don't have much else from the right-hand side. You're not going to use your closer, Bob James, and Nielsen is terrible. So they're going to stick with Wynn, best they can do. Facing the hound dog, Jim Presley, who is 0 for 3. So they are hoping he strikes out a lot. So Wynn is actually going for the strikeout here. That's a 1, so it's a possible wild pitch. And on Jimmy Wynn, his wild pitch rating is an 8. And it is a 2, so it's going to be a wild pitch, and that will bring home a run, and there goes the double play possibilities. Wild pitch moves everybody up 90 feet. It brings Moses across the plate. And the White Sox are just imploding. They had a 3-0 lead. Now it's 6-3 Mariners. Infield is in. (6-4) for Jimmy Wynn. That is a ground ball third base X. We're looking at Royster. He's a 4.20. If this gets by him, it could be another 2 runs. 4-1. It's definitely going to get by him, obviously. That's going to be a double, most likely. 4-0. That's actually going to be a single. Single 2 stars. That'll score both runs. 7, and he's an E20 at third base. There's no 7 there, but it's a single 2 stars for Presley. That's going to score both of the runs, and Jimmy Wynn still hasn't gotten anybody out yet. 6 runs in the inning. We got a 6-pack for Seattle. And Jim Fregosi doesn't know what to do. He's going to go to the bullpen because he can't stand to look at Jim Wynn anymore. So Jim Wynn is out of there. They're going to a lefty out of the bullpen, Brian Clark. This is mop-up time for them. They don't want to burn their other left-hander, Searage, when it's not a high-leverage situation. So they're going to bring in Brian Clark. But Jimmy Wynn didn't get anybody out. He faced 4 batters, gave up 2 hits and 2 walks. So far, he's given up 3 runs, but he is responsible for Presley as well. So this thing has just totally took a 180 compared to the way it was going early on. Jim Wynn just did not have it, plain and simple. So they're going to Brian Clark. Clark, limited duty, 0-0, 2.41 ERA, and just 19 innings, 19 hits, 8 walks, 8 strikeouts. That's on the real season. On the replay, he's 0-0 with an ERA of 3. He's pitched 6 innings, given up 2 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. So at first base is Presley not being held, and Alvin Davis is up in a lefty-lefty matchup. And that is a 4-10. 4-10 is a strikeout for Clark, but the Mariners still will bat around. That was only out number 2, so we will extend the 7th inning to the next line. And Dave Valley, who started the inning with a double, steps back in. We get a 1-7 against the lefty. That is a strikeout. So, boy, Clark comes in and strikes out the 2 guys he faces. Maybe should have brought him in earlier instead of Wynn, but Wynn seemed like the better option. Good morning, Robert. How are you? All right, so Clark gets out of it, but Wynn's going to be charged with these 3 runs. It is 8-3 after a 6-pack from Seattle. White Sox led this thing 3-0 going to the bottom of the 5th, but they have imploded ever since. Not sure they can recover either. So Steve Shields is the beneficiary of all these runs. Since he got the final out of the 7th, these runs are all counted to his account, so he's in line to get the win. Calderon is your batter. 2-10 for Calderon. He grounds it to 3rd. And Presley is there. 1 away. Looks like the White Sox have kind of maybe just, I don't say given up on this, but it's, the dejection is certainly there in their dugout. There's Walker. 3-7, and he strikes out. That's not going to make it feel any better. 2 down for Ken Williams. 2-2, and that's a ground ball to short. So 1-2-3 inning for Shields. Boy, I tell you what, he had a 6.60 ERA, but he's pitching lights out right now. 4 up, 4 down with 2 strikeouts. So Clark's going to stay in the game to mop up. Obviously, he's got the fatigue to do it. He only faced 2 batters, struck them both out, so why wouldn't you keep him in there? Bottom of the 8th. 8-3 still our score. 8 runs, 10 hits, and an error for Seattle. 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for the White Sox. Christensen now will start the bottom of the 8th against Clark. 1-5, and that is a pop-up to 3rd base. Royster makes the play. 1 down for Domingo Ramos. 6-4 on Clark is a fly ball center field X. So we are looking at Williams. He's a 2E9. 2 with an E9. 2 and a 15, he'll get to that. E9 and an 8. You don't think that would be a problem. It's not. So he makes the play. 2 down. And here's Harold Reynolds. He's 2 for 3 rather. 2 runs scored and a stolen base. 5-3 switch hitter batting right-handed. Ground ball pitcher X. He is a 3E0. So we know he can't make an error. roll. Just make sure we don't get a rare play, which with the bases empty wouldn't matter anyway, I don't think. Nope, no 5 there, so no rare play. So he's a 3. So as a 3 with the pitcher, looking at his range, 3. He needs to get a 4 or higher to make the play, and he does. So easy play there for Mr. Clark. And Clark's going to go 1 2/3 innings and not give up anything with 2 strikeouts. Unlike his counterpart, Jimmy Wynn, who couldn't get anybody out. So top of the 9th we go. Last chance for the White Sox against Steve Shields. We'll look at the White Sox bench, see if they've got anybody there worthwhile trying to pinch hit with. They do have switch hitting Jerry Hairston. Could bring him in. Otherwise, they're all right-handed. Hewlett, Karkovice, and Keedy, not exactly a murderer's row. But I think for Manrique, they're going to use Jerry Hairston to pinch hit just for the heck of it, if nothing else. So Jerry Hairston will come in and pitch. Manrique was 0 for 3, so it's not like he was doing anything. So they'll go to their bench and give an at-bat to one of their best pinch hitters to try to keep him sharp, as they say. So Jerry Hairston. Hairston, on the real season, a .230 hitter with 5 home runs and 126 at-bats. On the replay, Hairston's hitting .345, 2 homers, 5 driven in. So he's done very well on the replay. A lot better than he did in real world. So Jerry Hairston pinch hitting in the 9th for Manrique. Switch hitter. He'll bat left-handed against Shields. And Shields gives up some stuff against lefties, that's for sure. 2-11 for Hairston, but he won't give it up here. It's a fly to right field. 1 away. And for those that are curious, on a 2-11, Manrique would have grounded to short. So basically, it almost didn't matter. One away. And it almost feels like the White Sox just want to get this game over and move on, travel to their next destination starting on starting on Tuesday, getting ready for the next game, I should say. All right, so here is Guillen. 3-10 for Guillen, and that's a fly to center. Hauled in out there by Moses. 2 down. Steve Shields has been immaculate. He has given up nothing. Gary Reedus, the last chance. He has doubled twice. 2-11, and that's a fly to right. That'll end the inning and the ball game. Steve Shields, 2 1/3 innings, and he gave up nothing. A well-deserved win for Steve Shields. He strikes out 2. The loss is going to go to Bannister. He will drop to 7-2. The win is to Shields, and we'll see what he did on the. We'll go to the box score and get his totals, his record. But Seattle puts a dent in the White Sox chances of trying to catch Oakland with an 8-3 victory, 8 runs, 10 hits and an error for Seattle, 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for the White Sox. White Sox left on 7, Seattle left on 4. Shields gets his first decision. He's now 1-0. And, of course, Bannister drops to 7-2. Player of the game, man, you could give it to a bunch of different people. Christensen's home run kind of capped it off. That's what put them in the lead to begin with. But you could also give it to Steve Shields. 2 1/3 innings of perfect relief. So maybe it's a dual player of the game here. Christensen was 2 for 4 with that big home run. So we'll give a double player of the game. John Christensen and Steve Shields will both get the player of the game mantra. White Sox were trying to go to 500, but they slipped to 29-31. Seattle improves to 27-36. Dr. D, you're talking about the play about Moses going to third. Is that what you want me to go over again? I'm not sure if that's what you're asking or not. So we look at the standings now. The White Sox, that the losses not going to help their cause. They drop back into a third-place tie with Kansas City, 7.5 games back of Oakland. Seattle, with the win, pulls ahead of Texas, so they're no longer in last place. They're 1 game ahead of Texas, but still 11 games out of the lead in the division. So game 429 is in the books. Game 429 in the books. If you're asking about this play about, not sure which part you were talking about. It might have been this one here, where Bradley singled, and with the run rating of Reynolds, there was no way they were going to get him. It was a single to right field. Moses, as a trail runner, was not being held, so he starts with a 17, but since he's a trail runner not being held, he gets +1, makes him an 18. And then when you go from right field, when the ball's hit the right field and you run from first to third, you gain 2 more. That gives him a 20. And then the -1 arm from Calderon was a 19. So the only chance to get him out was a 20. And if you throw through, that means Bradley's going to take second on the throw. So they just cut the throw and allowed Moses to go to third. I'm not sure if that answered your question there or not. But that's kind of the philosophy there. When you're playing both sides, you kind of have to be careful. I mean, if you're playing a human opponent, you can make those decisions on your own. But I, for one, enjoy playing both sides. It's an extra challenge. Actually, that's all I've ever done. I've never played a head-to-head game of Strat. Well, I did on online with Mr. Guetterman. I did. We did a couple games, but face-to-face, I've never done that before. So we turn the page to June the 16th, which is a Tuesday. And the first game scheduled, we will be at Yankee Stadium. It'll be the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. Ken Dixon for the Orioles and Charlie Hudson for the Yankees. That'll be Monday morning. Same bat time, I would think. White Sox will be playing Seattle later in that date, and Neil Allen will take on Mike Moore. That's not a very good pitching matchup for the White Sox. They could be in more trouble. So tentatively, we're looking at Yankees and Orioles on Monday from Yankee Stadium. Then we're looking at Detroit and Toronto on Tuesday in Toronto. Jeff Robinson against Joe Johnson. And then on Wednesday, we are looking probably at Boston and Cleveland. That's Al Nipper against Ken Schramm. Thursday, we're looking at Minnesota, Milwaukee. That is Frank Viola against Chuck Krim. And then on Friday, we're looking at Texas and California. And that is Jose Guzman and John Candelaria. The Oakland, Kansas City game and the Chicago, Seattle games are set to be played offline. I mean, it's subject to change, but that's the initial plan for the week. And of course, this weekend, I hope to do another Fall Classic game and the next game in the Steve Carlton payoff pitch replay. Those will probably be recorded. They might be live, but most likely will be a recording to post at a later date. So appreciate everybody who tuned in for this one. White Sox led it 3-0 going to the bottom of the fifth, but could not hold the lead. And they fall to Seattle by the score of 8-3. All right, that's going to do it from here. Until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.